The ocean has always been humanity's greatest blind spot. A vast, crushing darkness where light dies within meters and imagination takes over where vision fails. For centuries, sailors spoke of a monster so large it could wrap the hull of a ship in its arms and drag it into silence. A creature that existed more in myth than in science. But what if the myth was not exaggeration, but misunderstanding? Now, after decades of deep-sea exploration and rare footage from the abyss, scientists are beginning to admit something unsettling. We got the giant squid wrong. Not slightly wrong. Profoundly wrong. And what they are discovering beneath the waves is rewriting everything we thought we knew about one of the most elusive predators on Earth. Down where sunlight collapses into darkness, the truth begins. In the cold, crushing depths of the open ocean, between 300 and 1,000 meters below the surface, lives a creature that rarely grants humanity a glimpse. The giant squid, a being so elusive that for most of modern science it existed only in fragments. A tentacle washed ashore, a scar on a whale's skin, a blurred shape captured by deep-sea cameras. For centuries, it was classified, described, and illustrated, without ever being truly seen alive in its natural world. And yet it is real, massive, intelligent, and far more complex than the nightmare biology once imagined. The giant squid is not a drifting monster of chaos. It is a precision-built hunter shaped by pressure, darkness, and silence. Its body can stretch beyond 10 meters, with eyes the size of dinner plates, among the largest eyes in the animal kingdom. These eyes are not just for seeing. They are for surviving in a realm where photons are rare events and every shadow could be a predator or prey. But what researchers now understand is that vision is only part of the story. Because in the deep ocean, perception is not about clarity. It is about detection. And the giant squid appears to read the ocean in ways we are only beginning to comprehend. For decades, scientists assumed it was a slow-moving ambush predator, drifting passively in the dark, a kind of biological relic. But new observations from submersibles and deep-sea camera traps have shattered that assumption. The giant squid is not passive. It is reactive. It responds to disturbances in the water with explosive speed, launching itself through the deep with jet-powered bursts that rival some of the fastest marine animals on Earth. Its body is a contradiction. Soft enough to compress under pressure, yet powerful enough to fight the ocean itself. 8 arms lined with toothed suckers, and 2 elongated feeding tentacles that can shoot forward in an instant, seizing prey with mechanical precision. When it strikes, it does not chase. It calculates distance, drifts into position, and then erupts forward in a fraction of a second. But what is it hunting in the absolute dark? This is where the story becomes even more intriguing. For years, scientists believed giant squid lived on a sparse diet, occasional fish, drifting crustaceans, whatever the deep could offer. But analysis of their scars, stomach contents, and the behavior of their primary predator, the sperm whale, suggests something far more active. These squids are not opportunistic scavengers. They are specialized hunters of the midwater zone, engaging in a silent war with creatures that rarely rise to the surface. And the evidence of this war is written on the bodies of giants. Sperm whales carry circular scars across their skin, perfectly aligned with the suction patterns of giant squid tentacles. These scars are not rare. They are universal among older whales. A living archive of encounters in the deep. Each mark tells a story of battles fought in darkness so complete that neither predator could rely on sight alone. And yet, until recently, no one had ever witnessed one of these battles unfold. That changed with the arrival of deep ocean camera systems capable of operating for months at extreme depths. What they captured did not show a drifting myth. It showed a creature alert, responsive, and disturbingly aware of its surroundings. In some recordings, giant squid appear to alter their movement patterns when distant pressure waves pass through the water, possibly detecting the approach of large animals long before visual contact. It suggests a sensory world far beyond human intuition, a perception based not on light, but on vibration, pressure gradients, and perhaps something we have not yet identified. Even more astonishing is how they hunt. Instead of chasing prey through open water, giant squid appear to use vertical positioning. They hover in the water column like suspended shadows, waiting for silhouettes to rise beneath them. When a fish or smaller squid enters range, the attack is instantaneous. The tentacles extend faster than the eye can track, forming a living net that closes before the prey can react. But there is something else hidden in this behavior, a pattern that scientists are still struggling to interpret. Giant squid do not always attack everything they encounter. Sometimes they retreat. Sometimes they vanish into deeper water as if responding to signals we cannot detect. It raises a question that has begun to unsettle marine biologists. Are these animals simply hunters, or are they part of a deeper communication system within the mesopelagic world? The ocean, after all, is not silent. It is layered with sound, vibration, and chemical signals that travel farther than light. And in that invisible language, the giant squid may be far more sophisticated than we ever imagined. Their nervous systems are also revealing surprises. Unlike simpler invertebrates, giant squid possess a highly developed neural architecture concentrated in both the brain and along their arms. Each arm can process touch independently, almost like a semi-autonomous sensory organ. This distributed intelligence allows them to react in multiple directions at once, turning their entire body into a coordinated decision-making system. It is not a single mind controlling limbs. It is a network responding as one. And still, we are only scratching the surface. Because beneath all of this biology lies an evolutionary mystery that refuses to settle. How did such a complex predator emerge in one of the most extreme environments on Earth? What pressures shaped it into a creature of silence, speed, and near invisibility? Fossil evidence offers almost nothing. Soft-bodied organisms rarely survive in the geological record, leaving giant squid evolution largely invisible. Yet genetic comparisons suggest a lineage stretching back hundreds of millions of years, evolving in parallel with deep-diving whales and the expanding twilight zones of ancient oceans. A hidden arms race written not in stone, but in scars and instincts. And as scientists continue to explore the deep, one unsettling realization is beginning to take shape. The giant squid is not a relic of the past. It is an active participant in an ongoing evolutionary experiment, one that is still unfolding in the darkest parts of our planet. But the most disturbing question remains unanswered. If we have misunderstood its behavior for so long, what else about it have we failed to see? And more importantly, what is still watching us from the deep? The deeper scientists look, the more the giant squid seems less like a single known species, and more like an unfolding mystery with layers still concealed in the abyss. Every new expedition into the mesopelagic zone brings back fragments of evidence that challenge earlier assumptions, as if the ocean itself is correcting human understanding piece by piece. In recent years, remotely operated vehicles have begun capturing something extraordinary, not just isolated glimpses of giant squid, but behavioral patterns, repeated movements, structured responses, even what appears to be territorial spacing in the midwater column. These are not random drifters. They are organisms interacting with a three-dimensional environment in ways that suggest memory, adaptation, and perhaps even learning. And yet, one of the most striking revelations is not what the giant squid does, but what it avoids. Time and again, deep-sea footage shows these creatures retreating moments before large predators fully emerge into view. Sperm whales are the most obvious threat, but the squid often reacts before any visual confirmation is possible. This has led scientists to reconsider everything from sensory biology to deep ocean physics. The squid may be detecting pressure signatures or infrasonic waves traveling kilometers through the water, signals that reveal the presence of approaching giants long before sight becomes relevant. In this silent world, survival depends on knowing what is coming, not what is already there. But perhaps the most misunderstood aspect of the giant squid is its appearance. For decades, it was portrayed as a grotesque bundle of writhing arms, an exaggerated relic of evolutionary experimentation. Reality, however, is far more refined. Its body is streamlined for energy efficiency, its muscles arranged to maximize burst propulsion while minimizing drag. Even its skin plays a role in survival, containing chromatophore cells capable of shifting pigmentation in subtle patterns, not for bright display, but for disruption, breaking up its outline in dim, scattered light. In the twilight zone, invisibility is not about hiding. It is about not being recognized as a target at all. And then there are the eyes, those enormous, haunting structures that have become iconic in marine biology. New studies suggest they are not merely for spotting prey or predators, but for detecting bioluminescent flashes across vast distances. In the deep ocean, light is not continuous. It is intermittent, produced by living organisms in bursts and pulses. A single flash may signal a feeding event, a disturbance, or the presence of a hunting predator. The giant squid's eyes appear tuned to interpret this coded light language with astonishing sensitivity. It is not just seeing, it is reading the ocean's signals. But even this does not fully explain the most puzzling aspect of giant squid biology: their near absence from human observation despite their global distribution. They exist in nearly every ocean basin, yet direct encounters remain extraordinarily rare. Scientists now suspect that their vertical migration patterns, combined with extreme avoidance behaviors, keep them just beyond the reach of conventional exploration methods. They live in the gaps between technology and timing. Occasionally, however, the ocean offers fragments too compelling to ignore. Sucker scars on whale skin remain one of the most reliable sources of information. Some of these scars show patterns of immense size, suggesting interactions with squid far larger than previously documented specimens. This has led to a controversial possibility that multiple giant squid forms, or even undiscovered species, may exist within the same ecological niche, differentiated only by depth preference or geographic region. The idea challenges the long-held assumption that we are studying a single, uniform species. And then there is the question of life itself. Giant squid reproduction remains one of the least observed processes in marine biology. No confirmed footage exists of mating in the wild. No fully documented egg-laying event has been captured in its natural deep-sea habitat. What is known comes from rare specimens and indirect evidence, suggesting a life cycle that may involve drifting egg masses released into the deep, where larvae develop in near-complete isolation. These larvae, fragile and transparent, drift through a world without reference points, growing slowly into the formidable predators that would one day haunt the twilight zone. But even this transition remains partially speculative, pieced together from fragments recovered near oceanic currents and deep-sea sediment traps. It is a life cycle written in absence rather than presence. As research continues, another unsettling idea has begun to circulate among marine scientists: that giant squid may play a far more active role in deep-sea ecosystems than previously believed. Not just as predators, but as regulators of mid-water population dynamics. By targeting specific species, they may help maintain balance in an environment where food chains are thin and energy transfer is fragile. In this sense, the giant squid is not a monster of chaos. It may be a stabilizing force in an ecosystem we barely understand. But even this perspective does not resolve the greatest mystery of all: intelligence. The behavior of giant squid hints at cognitive abilities that blur the line between instinct and decision-making. Their rapid response patterns, avoidance strategies, and complex attack coordination suggest a nervous system capable of integrating multiple environmental inputs simultaneously. Yet there is still no evidence of social structure, communication systems, or long-term behavioral planning in the way we understand it in vertebrates. It raises a profound question: how much intelligence can emerge in complete isolation, in a world without light, without social learning, and without visible community? The answer may lie in the architecture of the ocean itself. Because in the deep sea, survival is not shaped by competition in crowded environments, but by precision in emptiness. Every movement must be efficient. Every reaction must be immediate. Evolution, under these conditions, does not reward complexity for its own sake, but for its utility in absolute darkness. And so the giant squid becomes something stranger than myth or monster. It becomes a product of pressure, silence, and time, a being shaped not by the world we know, but by one we can barely imagine. Yet despite all our advances, we are still left with fragments. A torn tentacle recovered from a whale's stomach, a blurred shadow crossing a deep-sea lens, A brief, impossible glimpse of something vanishing back into the dark. Each discovery answers one question and raises 10 more. Because the deeper we descend, the more the giant squid resists final definition. It is not simply an animal waiting to be understood. It is an ongoing presence in the planet's largest unexplored realm, still adapting, still hunting, still evading the gaze of a species that considers itself dominant on the surface. And perhaps the most unsettling realization of all is this: we are not studying a creature that has been fully revealed and catalogued. We are witnessing something that is still revealing itself. Somewhere in the crushing darkness beyond reach of sunlight and sound, giant squids continue their silent existence, moving through currents older than human civilization, interacting with predators we rarely see, and responding to signals we have not yet learned to interpret. And as technology pushes deeper into the ocean, one final question lingers in the cold, black water. Are we finally beginning to understand the giant squid, or is it only now beginning to understand us?